G'day folks, it's Andy here from Aussie Homesteads. Been planting trees and putting all these pines in rows just to form a bit of a privacy barrier. So when they grow up, we won't be able to see the afternoon sun comes down over there and it blares through behind me. And the biggest problem is keeping these things watered, because if I'm not here for an extended period of time, particularly the orchard, more than the pines are actually very hardy. So what we did was we looked on Temu, and not very often I buy things from Temu, but I'll show you this, it's quite interesting. And this little setup here works on a gravity feed system. So it starts off with the bag, and it runs into one hose and splits off into three, and then goes through these little variable nozzles, and they vary the milliliters per hour, and then it goes down into these three spikes. And I'll show you how it works. And I'm not really interested in this bag because the whole lot was $8.60 or something. I'm more interested in putting it into a 20-litre drum. And of course, if that isn't big enough, I'll use a 200-litre drum. But I'll just have a look here. See if I can zoom you in. Right, now, let's have a look. So the water, if you fill it up there, I think that holds 5 litres. So it comes down to these little variable nozzles. And they've got graduations on them. So you've got off, fully open, and then a graduated scale of millilitres per hour. And I think I've currently got this one on 50 millilitres per hour. So what it does is it drips through these spikes that you stick in the ground, and the water drips out of them at that rate. So when you put that near your plants, if you can form a circle where the roots are, because one thing if you remember about trees, the roots aren't where the stem is. So say the stem of the tree is here, and you have a look at the canopy. You can look at any tree that you like. Say pick that one over there, right? Now its roots aren't at the bottom, they're at the edge of the canopy. So that's what's called the drip line. So the width of that tree there, its roots have extended as far out as the canopy. So if you're watering at the bottom, you're just throwing water at the trunk. The trunk doesn't want water. The roots are out here, so in line with that drip edge. So if you've got young trees, you could put these into a triangle into the root zone. So if your canopy's this big, your roots are going to be out that far. And the ends of the roots is where it absorbs the water through these little tiny fine hairs, and it's like a capillary action. But this was interesting. We just saw it on Temu, and as I say, I'm more interested in getting that fitting that's there onto a 20-litre drum, because I can work out, I marked the bag, so I made a red mark here and wrote the date, so it's Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and I'll see how long that this water that I've marked at 50 millilitres per hour, that's 50 millionths of 1 litre, 50 millilitres. It's not a lot, but you've got 3 of them. So if I can control the rate of water using these things, I can adapt it to a larger water supply, which means I could probably go, if you have a look over there, there's an IBC, and it's an intermediate bulk container, or IBC. They're usually used for things like vinegar, or, they transport stuff overseas in containers, and those things fit perfectly in the containers. And they're about 1 metre by 1 metre, and 2 of them fit side by side in 20-foot and 40-foot shipping containers. And they bring all sorts over from overseas, and they only use them once. And if you buy what's called food grade ones, they're about $100 each. That holds over 1,000 litres. When you go chockers to the top of them, they actually hold 1,100 litres. Now, 1,100 litres to this system, dripping at the right rate, should last a long time, shouldn't it? That's the plan. So the idea is, in summer, when we've come after our last winter trip and our spring trip and that, we're heading towards summer, what we'll do is we'll set the drip rate at the right rate that it's going to last. But with 1,100 litres, I'm going to figure out that's going to last a long time to do all these trees. So the idea is to water them while we're not here. I don't know if that's going to help someone, but I just found it really interesting. I thought for $8 I'm going to buy one and I'm going to try it. But as I say, not really interested in that bag. That wouldn't last 5 minutes out in the sun, because the Australian sun is just hell on wheels. It'll just burn it. But it's more this drip system that I'm interested in. From that point about there, where that screw cap goes on, if I can adapt it to a tap to there, and I can have an on-off tap, I can then feed each of my plants with water when I'm not here. And all you have to do is stick that spike in the ground. And that pipe is connected to a tiny little nozzle on the end, and it runs down the spike and into the ground. And the idea is to get the water to the roots, because if it runs off the outside, off the top surface, the Australian sun will just disintegrate the water. It'll just evaporate it. So the idea is to try and get the water to the roots. Well, there you go. I found that interesting. I'm going to keep playing with these type of systems, and I'll keep you informed, and I'll give you a part 2 eventually. And so if you like it, give it a like. If you've got any comments or ideas, put it in the comments down below. Follow if you like. I've got plenty of ideas and plenty of videos coming up. I'm up at the block for 8 to 12 weeks now, till I finish doing all my jobs, and I'll head back to the city for a little while and then come back up again in October, I think. So there you go. It's Andy from Aussie Homesteads, giving you a few ideas on how to water your plants when you're not around, or even if you are around. It doesn't matter. You can use this to water your plants, because then all you got to do is fill that and let gravity do the trick. Andy here from Aussie Homesteads. Till the next one, signing out. See you later. Bye.